Yes, right? Yes, yes, ma'am. Oh my gosh, that would be the best meeting ever. Like the room would be packed. Yes, cover charge. Okay, we'll give it just a couple more minutes. Get those last folks coming in. Oh, were there detours? Oh, thank you for telling us. Yeah. Yes. Yes. And then it rained on your parade. Oh, look at you. Getting crazy in here. I'm going to be all over the place, so yeah. So I'll be over there, over here. Yes, just catch me. Okay, we'll just give it a couple more minutes here. Thank you, ma'am. All right, we'll get started in just 1 minute. Yes, ma'am. I'm excited. I know, I forgot about that part. Oh, thank you. I hope so. Yeah, yeah, that'd be great because we usually do it in the other room, so it's much different, right? So I'm excited. Yeah, thank y'all. Come on in, guys. That would be great if we could do that. Yes, ma'am. That would be fantastic. Yes, that would be great. Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yeah. They ran without a choice. So they were like, we'll just go in the front. It's fine. All right, guys, it is 10:05. Welcome, welcome. Thank you all so much for coming. I'm going to be all over this stage today. So let's hope I don't fall because it would be great for live streaming. So anyways, I'm Molly Watkins with Comprehensive Consulting Solutions for Small Businesses. Yes, the longest business name ever, right? It's one of the long ones. We wanted to kind of sum up what we do. And so I picked the longest business name ever. Yes, ma'am, right? So easy to remember. So today, guys, we're going to go through a lot of information, a lot of hopefully things that you may not have known about AI, some things you're familiar with, and some things maybe you already knew. So to get started, we're going to and I've got to get used to my little clicker here. So we're going to start with a welcome and introduction, followed by what is it, right? And AI encompasses a lot more than we think it does. Followed by history, because I think this is important. Many of us believe that it's something new, right? It's been around since the 50s. So we're going to kind of deep dive into that, as well as terms and conditions. This is going to be one of our longer ones because it's a lot of really great information. And then, of course, statistics, headlines, and examples. Let me get out of the screen there for y'all. And then how to use it for a small business. So our biggest sections are going to be terms and definitions and how to use it. So, of course, I'm Molly Watkins. I am the founder of Comprehensive Consulting Solutions for Small Businesses. My background is sales and leadership. Started this business in 2019, and we help all types of small businesses, from startups and tenured, anywhere from zero in revenue to 20 million. We also help, contractors, CPAs, doctors, you name it. So we work with businesses of all different types to help them with their puzzle pieces. You'll see a lot of puzzles today on the branding, and that's what we do is help businesses with their small business puzzle pieces. And I am an accredited small business consultant. I have a couple designations. It's just a bunch of letters is all it is, right? And then I did want, since, we have a smaller group, I'm not going to make everyone do it. But if we have any volunteers, just to kind of say first name, a fun fact, and I'll go first, and then what do you hope to get from today? So, of course, I'm Molly. Fun fact is I love sweet tea. It's like my sugar juice, right? I just love it so much, right? So that is my fun fact. And what I hope to get from today is that y'all love and enjoy this information and learn a lot. That is our purpose for today. So do we have any volunteers that would like to participate? Don't everybody raise their hands at once. Yes, ma'am.
I'm not exactly a business owner, but I do put a lot of programming for the library for small business and nonprofit resource center. Oh, and I'm Cassidy Moran.
Yes.
I have a corgi.
Yes.
My fun fact, his name is Pippin. He has to have a stubby-legged name.
Oh, I love it.
But I'm kind of thinking of other programs that I could potentially plan based off of this subject. So that'd be what I would.
Oh, nice. Okay, great. Thank you, Cassidy. Saw another volunteer. Yes, ma'am.
Nancy Wells. Fun fact.
Sorry, I'm in the way again.
Fun fact is I have a goofy dog that drove with me to Colorado. We spent a month in the mountains and just came back.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And I have a few ventures. I'm a therapist. I own a clinical practice. I've always been a virtual therapist, so this interested me that way. And then I work with individuals with disabilities, specifically on autism. And so I want to learn a little bit about anything that can help them with employment or businesses as well.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing, Nancy. Anybody else? Oh, yes, ma'am.
I'm Erin. Fun fact, I also work with people on the spectrum. I'm a paper analyst. I actually just left the field looking for other opportunities, and AI is everywhere, and so I want to learn as much as I can.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for
I'm a
sharing.
nonprofit, so let's talk at some point.
Yes. I love it. Yes, connections. Anybody else? Are we good? And don't feel like you have to. Yes, go ahead.
I'm PJ, and
PJ.
Let's see. I guess a fun fact is, because it's fun to me, is I'm sort of kind of semi-retired, but I work at a television news station on the morning show, and I run the audio board.
Oh, nice. Very nice. That is
But,
awesome.
I'm interested in the AI because I've used it just a little bit for fun, just to see what it's like, and I was the only one, 68 years old. I was the only one at that station that knew anything about
Oh, wow.
GPT or Dolly 2 or any of that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
you
I
go.
love them.
PJ, that's fantastic. You
And
tell
I
them.
have worked with people with disabilities, so I'd be interested in talking with y'all.
Okay.
And I have a nonprofit that I really could do better on getting it together, but I'm having too much fun.
On the audio board. Thank you for sharing, PJ. Anybody else? We're good. Thank you all for sharing. Oh, we got another volunteer in the front row. Whoa.
I'm here. I mean, these are my two kids,
Yes.
but we moved here about a year and a half ago and bought a welding business.
Nice.
And so I'm just nonstop seeing stuff come in from like the HR emails and all that kind of stuff about AI. So I'm just trying to figure out what we can do to make it easier for us, or how we can use it. So.
That's great. What was
And
your
he
name?
knows a lot about it already.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So I'm trying to get him to help me before he moves. He's here for a few weeks, so he
Oh,
moves to
that's
Montana.
fantastic. And what was your name, ma'am? I'm sorry. Barbara.
Right, yeah, my name is Micah, and I just graduated from TCU studying data science. And
Oh,
so
wow.
so I'm curious about the product solutions and prepackaged solutions that come with it for small businesses.
That is fantastic. So that is great. I love that. So you've got data science background. Fantastic. So don't, like when you're going through, if you have anything to add, please do. Okay, so you got that. I love nerds, right? I'm a fellow nerd, so please jump in. Okay, jump in, Mike.
I know he's about to leave.
Yeah, I know. You're like, go. Let's go with Mom, right? Well, we're glad y'all are here. Thank y'all so much. Yes, and congrats on the welding business too. So that is awesome. I'm gonna grab some water. All right, well, thank y'all so much for that. So let's get in. to our exciting stuff. Okay, so first part on our introduction, I kind of want to hit on some of the things in my career that I experienced that were most memorable. So back in the late 90s, and I'm only 20, y'all, by the way, so just so y'all know. This was like not me, right? But that, back in the 90s, in college, I don't know if y'all remember, we had to go to the library to get books, right? We couldn't just get information off the internet, right? For some of us older folks, right, that are over 20, we remember those days. And I thought that was one of the most amazing things was Google. Google search came out in 97. I literally went crazy, y'all, and wrote papers that were 20,000 pages long. Professors were like, you gotta chill, because I loved information, right? That was one, excuse me, of one of my first, probably that I can remember, right, encounters with AI. Google search, do y'all remember when it first started? Do y'all remember dial-up? It may take us 3 hours, but we're going to get that paper ready. Another one that I kind of seem fond of is Google Maps. I am not good with directions, y'all. I cannot find myself anywhere. It's just not one of my strengths. I take pictures. I don't see landmarks, right? Don't tell me go north. I don't know what that means, right? So it's like I have visual pictures. So when Google Maps, like I don't know if some of y'all may not remember this, but we printed, right? We printed our map out. For us over 20 in the room, no. And we printed it out and then we followed it. And if it was incorrect, well, yeah, hopefully you had a dad like mine that you could call and be like, hey, how do I get here? I'm looking at an orange house. Well, you need to go left, and then you need to go right. I did not think like that, right? And so the other one is, my part of my history is insurance, right? And so I was a sales manager, and we were using technology that made our lives easier. So when a lead came in for an insurance sale, there was automation in the background that actually followed up with that prospect, that told them, told the salesperson you need to call and prioritize, while at the same time it was sending automated, where we didn't have to think about it, touches to the prospect or customer. This is one of those initial systems. This is probably in the early 2000s. Not that I was alive then or anything, but, early 2000s. And this was one of the big game changers. Today, it's normal. Automation is built into a lot of things. But back then, this was new, right? This was something that we had not dealt with, and really were like, oh my gosh, this thing just sends stuff. And it made sure we were more effective. It saved us time, and it also made sure we didn't miss follow-up dates. Because in sales, right, you miss a follow-up day, you can miss the sale. So these are my first experience, and probably my most memorable. Now, this is a great paragraph talking about what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about the basics. We're going to talk about some statistics, and also some of the challenges of AI and limitations, right? But also the exciting part. AI is not to be scary. Yes, it has some issues, but it is to be exciting, to save us time and money. This is what AI is for small businesses. So, one note that I want to say, there is a lot of information in this slideshow where usually I would summarize, but because I could not say it any better, it's direct quotes. So you're going to see a lot of quotations from some really great sources like SAP and IBM and Oracle, Microsoft, you name it. But we are going to have direct quotes, and this presentation has a lot of links that, and if y'all want a copy of it, just let Cassidy know, and she can get that to you. So let's begin our AI journey. Is everybody excited? We don't look excited. So, okay, before we start, any volunteers, even the data scientists can volunteer on this. What do y'all think of AI? Any volunteers? Just want to say, like, before we go through this, what do y'all think of AI? Any volunteers?
Intimidating.
Okay, nice. Thank you, Cassidy. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Right now, ChatGPT, which is everyone is talking about and using.
Yes, ma'am. Very good. Yes, thank you. Anybody else? No, well, those are good answers, and we are going to hit on all of those today. So thank y'all for that. So what is it? I mean, I think it kind of encompasses a lot of different areas. And when we're thinking about AI, we kind of get in that focus of one thing, ChatGPT, right? So let's talk about AI in general. So these, again, some of my favorite sources. So we have Microsoft that pretty much, in summary, said it's an organic brain. That's what it is, an organic brain. It thinks without a brain. You have IBM who quotes a John McCarty, which wrote a paper that talks about the science and engineering of making intelligent machines, intelligent computer programs. Pretty simple, okay? And it's related to computers to understand human intelligence. That's what they've been trying to achieve. So think of a brain, think of a normal brain. Think about how all the connections, that go through and how they connect. This is just like, it's like a fake brain, right? And we're going to get into that here in just a second. And then this right here is from the National Institute of Standards and Technology. I love this one. And what they say is it has the potential to transform our lives. And it does. It really does. So when we think about AI, this is where I want to caution y'all. Don't worry about getting all into the engineering and the UI and the IX design, right? If you're not a web developer, a web designer, data scientist, you do not need to know every nuance of AI. The technicalities, no, I don't. Can I program you a website? Yes, it's going to take me a while, but can I do it? Absolutely. We use other tools for that, right? AI, we need to understand it. We don't have to code it. We don't have to go in and use any of these things. So when we're thinking of AI, think of it as a concept and how it works for you and how you see it in the world. But how do you use it to make yourself more effective and efficient? That's what AI is for. And as I mentioned earlier, many people think AI is new, ChatGPT, right? AI, it exists. I didn't know it, right? This has been around since the 50s. Computers making these big decisions, and we're going to go through that in just a second. Learning. Now, in the past probably 10 years, we've had some just things that were, it caused exponential growth in terms of processing power, storage capabilities, right? Think about computers and their processing abilities. Much different than they were 40 years ago, right? So one other thing, and this is one of kind of my things that I want y'all to take from this. With AI, the data that goes in is only as good as it is. So if there is any bias, guess what's in the data? Why do we think we're hearing about all these people getting cussed out by robots? Bias in the data, right? It causes, when it only sees images of white males, right, it can cause bias, and that's not anything. That's the truth. VentureBeat has actually quoted and said that some of the images that it was trained on was mostly white men, right? So that's not anything bad, but that is real life. So us in the room that are women or minorities may think of, oh, it doesn't look like me. It's the data, okay? So I want us to keep that in the back of our heads. Everything that is on the internet is not true. Does not mean it's accurate because it comes out of a system, okay? And we're going to go through some nuances here. Just so y'all know, ChatGPT will make it up as it goes. If it does not know the information, it will make up a story. We're going to go through a attorney story here in a second to talk about there's some limitations, right? So whenever we have data that has any bias, they call it hallucinations when the data comes out, we have to be aware of that and know that this information is not 100% accurate. It's, open source. What does that mean? It's just a bunch of, software and programmers share. So OpenAI just means a bunch of folks shared. Does that mean it's perfect data? No, absolutely not. So let's keep that in mind when we're using AI and we're using tools. Not to scare us, right? Because it's a great, powerful tool. However, we have to know the limitations of our technology, okay? So this is another one. This is one thing that I use all the time in my daily life is cognitive bias. Cognitive bias is part of what's in that data, right? Our experiences shape our perception. Our lack of experience also shapes our perception. Many experiences shape our perception. So you and I, Cassidy and I, could be looking at the same thing and see two different things, right? And I'm sure you've had that happen in your life. You tell one person, you tell the other, they heard two different things, right? Cognitive bias. We do it unintentionally. There's implicit and explicit. We could do a whole session on cognitive bias, y'all. We're not going to go there today. But the big thing that I want y'all to take of it is the way we see things, again, is from our experiences. So we may see things differently based on that. And when we're doing data, guess what? That cognitive bias is rolled into that data. Think about that. Everything how we see the world is different. So when you're thinking about the data and what goes into it, that whole person in the open source, whoever's, dealing with this and contributing the information, is a part of this bias. Okay, does that make sense? Not to scare us, but I want us to be aware of our limitations, and I don't think this is out in the world enough. So cognitive bias. So this is from IBM. This is the history of AI, copied directly from their site because I couldn't have said it better. So in 1950, this was fantastic. I was blown away. So this guy, Alan Turing, he actually develops this test, and he was the guy that, as you can read here, he broke the Nazis' Enigma code. So this guy's a super nerd, right? We like super nerds, right? Super nerds are cool. So this man is amazing. So he comes up with this test, and he's like, we got to see if it can, have, human intelligence. So remember this date, 1950s, because we're going to come later to see what happened with that test. In the 50s, remember we talked about John McCarthy, who wrote a 2004 paper. This is his initial 1956. They were at a conference. AI, who knew in the 50s this was happening, right? Who knew? 1967, it was the first computer where they talk about a neural network. We will get to that in our presentation. Trial and error, it's a landmark. We didn't know this, right? How many of us knew all this stuff was going on? 1980s, again, the neural networks, which we'll touch on here in a minute, came in as a back propagation. And then IBM, this is one of the cool ones. So guess what? Their bot beat the world chess guy. That's crazy, y'all. Those guys, they're super nerds, right? It's fantastic to say a robot did that. Isn't that amazing? So, and I love how IBM kind of, puts that as part of their timeline, right? And then guess what? IBM beats them again. So this time it was actually a Jeopardy. Is that not fantastic? It's crazy. And then this is actually interesting, and we're going to hit on this too, where we can categorize images with a higher rate of accuracy than a human. That's crazy, right? That's just amazing. Blows my mind. This one's pretty neat. So now we're kind of getting into more recent, 2016. This is the Go, which is a game. Guess who beat them? A robot. And then guess who Google bought after that? So there you go. And then guess what? Here's our ChatGPT, right? And this is very interesting. It's 2023. Actually, some of the models came out in 2022, but they're talking about more of RISE as a whole. LLM, we'll get to shortly. So, any questions so far? Good? Perfect. Here's one of our longer sections. So this is from Google. Now, when we think about AI, just in general, many people put it into little they categorize it, right? And they say, well, this and this. We're going to talk about AI in general and talk about some of the larger parts. Again, we're not going to get through everything AI in an hour and a half, but we are going to get through a lot of the kind of basics so that you have an understanding as well as practice tactics to actually execute. So machine learning, this is one that I want us to focus on. So if you see, machine learning is a subset of AI. So you've got AI right here, right? We've got machine learning. We got deep learning. We got neural networks. Okay, so that's kind of how it flows out. One thing I want you to notice on this is an important distinction is although all machine learning is AI, not all AI is machine learning. Okay, so we'll get to see. So think about your GPS. Think about your voice assistant. Think about your facial recognition. Think about chats in online chats in the 80s. Not that I was alive or anything. So that is one, and I know it's confusing. It'll make more sense. I see the faces like, right? So we'll come back to that. And then deep learning. So machine learning actually, it needs some people. It needs some people to kind of interject and to touch things and to do things, right? Deep learning kind of just does its thing. It can work with unlabeled data, raw data. It can get just whatever you put into it, right? So it's very, these are kind of, we're getting a little techie. Science. So people, where all this come from? This is actually science. Cognitive science actually encompasses the computer aspect of it, as well as linguistics, philosophy, psychology, you name it, right? And then natural language processing. This is one of those things that I think a lot of people, not to be confused with neuro-linguistic programming. So this is more of about how you read language. The neuro-linguistic program is how you observe, right? It's a great sales technique. So this right here, when we're talking about the branch, it is science. It is how do we make a computer like a human brain? It's amazing. Oh, shoot. Well, what just happened there? Okay, there we go. Technology, we're back, and we're back. All right, okay, if I could operate the technology, that'd be helpful. And so here it kind of goes through a little bit about, gets a little technical. It's rule-based. So what it's doing is taking and processing the language, not only in a word, but looking at phrases. So this is a newer change with AI. Used to it looked at one word at a time. Now it's looking at phrases. That was a development here in the past probably 5 or 10 years. So it's looking for full meanings. NLP is, think about all those things like your GPS, Siri, right? Sometimes back in the day when you would talk to a bot, you could tell it was a bot because they didn't even sound like a human. Now it's much different, right? They're learning. They're getting better and better at our own language, right? And how to communicate, how to look for nuances. But remember, when we're talking about all of this, this machine, this computer is taking all the information it can, gobbling it up, and using statistical analysis, what if, what not statements, to determine if it's the right answer. So when you ask, where is the library, right? Or if you say, where is the Shell gas station? It's going to use other GPS. It's going to use camera data on those streets if they have it. It's going to use everything around to come up with that answer. It's amazing how everything talks to everybody. So this is, we had mentioned this earlier, and an LLM, large language model. What that means is just a big data set. Think about Google. Google is an LLM. ChatGPT is an LLM. All it means is it's a big database that goes and learns on the internet, and it takes information. That could be Wikipedia. That could be any source online. There's a couple people right now that are suing ChatGPT and Meta, which are two big LLM models, right? Just at the news yesterday. I see you shaking your head, yeah. So you saw that too, right? They're suing for copyright infringement, for protected information. I don't know why Google wasn't in that. I was a little confused there. Google is not there, but it was ChatGPT, and it was Meta. Blew my mind. So Meta is an algorithm too, right? Facebook, AI. So it blew me away. But this is, all this does is it just learns on, it goes, scans. Think about when you do a search and it's ready in 2.02 seconds. That's how fast these things work. Yes, ma'am?
I didn't understand what you said about the copyright infringement.
Okay, so with stars right now, they have these like songs, right? Where they have, you know, they get royalties, they get paid. They have copyrights on their material, trademarks, right? And so what they're saying, now this is just a lawsuit, it does not mean it's true. What they're saying is, like, stars are saying that ChatGPT and Meta are scanning their copyrighted material and using it in their research to give answers. That's what they're saying. Now, it's just something that hit yesterday with the New York Times, right? So those are things we're going to see more of. We're going to see a lot more of that. Yes, ma'am?
Is that because those things are just already existing on the internet, and it's like scanning just a massive database. It's
Yes,
not like
ma'am.
people specifically putting in.
No, exactly. It just scans whatever's out there, right? And I don't know if y'all have heard of skimmers. Like, just because you think it doesn't show, it shows. As you data scientists know, there's a lot of stuff on the back end and meta descriptions and metadata that are showing to computers. Okay. Now we can read images. We can do a lot of things that we could not do before. So yes, it's scanning their information. I mean, that's been happening for a long time. Here's another thing is, why do you think when you go to Facebook you see something that you search for, right? Or somebody says, how do they know what I'm thinking about? Because you were on that site shopping. Or on, when you hit that Wi-Fi, any cookies that you have go to everybody on that Wi-Fi, right? So you see, like, I'll have moms, why do I see, bunk beds? Well, that's probably what your kids were looking for college, right? Yes, sir.
In terms of ChatGPT, whenever they're scanning the web for information, they actually have a curated list of different websites they can use because they don't want to get bad websites, or else it's more likely that they'll get bad information out of their bots. But what ends up happening is that you can't curate what all is on those sites. It's hard to prove that it actually has the lyrics to a song from copyrighted material and not from someone on the internet talking about it.
Exactly. Very good. Thank you for that addition. Yes. It's very good because you can't prove it, right? In ChatGPT, in their most recent version, usually they include where they got their sources. Guess what's not in there this time? Because people were critical of their sources and their information. So this lasts in their ChatGPT 4, guess what they don't have? The little one-pager that says where they got it. So very nice. I love your addition too. So when you think about this, think about, okay, this is powerful information at our fingertips, but also where's it coming from, right? So great questions. Thank you all so much. This one is a big one. Just think Google, ChatGPT. That's what that is. Meta, when you're on Facebook, it's an LLM. So this kind of talks about AI, human language, talk about mastering a language, a sentence, a paragraph. So what it's talking about is it can kind of make assumptions and generate answers on assumptions. And I'm sorry if I'm getting in your way here. So it can, come up with a concept. This is where we're seeing all these great tools, right? Where we're starting, we're going to look at some pictures we did with AI. It's amazing, y'all. The things that you can do with this stuff, right? But just know our limitations. And some examples, as you can see, NVIDIA is the big graphic software. Microsoft, of course, y'all have heard of. So here's where we look at the fake brain. Now, this is from IBM and neural network. So this is where it gets a little, kind of down we start getting in the nitty-gritty. And so it's the heart of the deep learning algorithms. Think of this. This is where you put your question, right, if you're on an LLM, right, something like that. Goes through all this data source, right, and then it comes out here. So this is almost like, think of it as like a fake brain. It's just it's not really an organic brain. It's a computer brain. And what it's doing is actually, and you can read here, that it's inspired by the human brain, right? Kind of like neural network. That's what we think of when we think of the brain. And then it's a way to signal. So when it talks about signal, it's just taking all the data, right? Everything that's inside that it finds and processing and making assumptions, statistical analysis, what-if statements, and so forth to come up with information and data. This is how we're seeing our information. Now, many of us didn't know that, right? And this is from Science Magazine, and it's just saying they're subtly adjusting hundreds of millions of numerical weights that interconnect those artificial neurons. It's science, y'all. This is not, this is science, the computer science. It's also, think about trying to emulate human intelligence, and this is how it's done. So, okay, this is one of probably, I would probably say my favorites. Yeah, okay, so this is more talking about, we had mentioned this earlier when we talk about machine learning, deep learning, and neural networks. That's when we really get where these machines are trying to emulate intelligence, trying to learn and process as much information. It's very neat. And generative AI, I know that PJ, you had said DALL-E earlier. This is amazing, y'all. So what it is you take, for example, we do it all the time. You can take text, you can take art, you can take a picture, you can tell it, I want flowers and a dog right here. Now, it's a process. It's not like you just click, right? You have to follow the program, right? And then with DALL-E, that is, I mean, these in Midjourney are for images, right? These are things where we have the ability to make anything we want for our business. Here's our thing too, is that it is getting harder to notice AI images. They have computer programs that test this, and they're failing on some that are AI images and saying it's not. So the technology is getting much better and improving daily. And then algorithm, we talk about, I say this word to my clients probably 4 million times a week. We got to get the algorithm, right? We got to get it. So we're trying, and that's with the social algorithm. Algorithm in general is just a sequence of instructions. That's all it is. So when you're on Facebook and you like something, you're telling that you want to see more of that, right? Now, have you ever seen those people and they say, no, I'm not seeing anybody, I'm posting this, so I'll see your stuff. Well, that's because they never like anything on Facebook. If you don't like anything, Facebook doesn't know what to show you, right? You've got to engage with content. So like if I get on there, I see kittens and puppies. That's my favorite, right? When I'm on Facebook, when it's not business, I want to see cute little animals doing cute things, okay? That's what the bots know, right? And they know that I'm into like little techie stuff, so they'll show me ads. Except for there's some where, I'm a single woman and it tells me I need to get my newborn kit. Some of the AI is not correct, right? But it sees me liking pictures of families and kids, right? And interacting because of my clients with certain items. So it assumes I have kids, right? AI fails. We always make jokes, right? But that's how this stuff works. If you don't tell it what you want, it doesn't know where to go, right? Now, on the social algorithm. And so this right here is one of those things where I say it all the time. When you're on Facebook and you're asking the question, how did it know? You could probably figure it out in your search history, right? Or what you interacted or engaged with. So one of my favorites, y'all. We're not going to get into the nitty gritty. This is data scientist type stuff, okay? This is just more or less talking about the types of learning that machine and deep learning go through, okay? So you have supervised, of course, that involves a human, right? Unsupervised, semi, and reinforcement. So these are the different types of learning models. Now, MIT had 3, and now SAP has added one here recently with all the development. They've added the semi-supervised. Because now, back in the day, all the data had to be like categorized. It was like if it was just an image with no data or no label, it didn't know what to do with it, right? It's getting so much more advanced. These different systems actually take that information in and can figure it out. It is wild. Y'all remember, it's beating chess players. It's beating Jeopardy players, right? It creates really fantastic images. So again, this is more we're getting into the weeds, but I do want you to understand that there are different types of learning that these machines practice by. This is one of my favorites. It's from SAP. So this is how I see AI, and I want y'all to as well. So it's not just like everybody thinks it's just one thing. It's not. AI encompasses several subsets, and then you could go in the weeds with a lot of these that we are not going to get into because that's more of a data scientist, right? Web designer, web developer conversation. These are small business. Just understand how AI works in your life and the basics. So when you come across something, oh yeah, that's what that is. That's a large language model. Let me verify the data, right? Let's double check our work. That's a big thing. So this is something that's newer. It's kind of a breakthrough. They use self-attention where they're talking about particular words that are important in understanding the meeting. This is more context. You get that text and you're like, what did that person mean? Because you can't read context. You don't know that they didn't mean it to come across that way. There we go, right? So it's starting to understand, it's a breakthrough. We're starting to see what words are important in this sentence, right? And then bias. This, of course, we have talked about this, is from New York Times. So I'm going to read this verbatim. A type of error that can occur in a large language model if its output is skewed by the model's training data. That's what we just said, right? For example, a model may associate specific traits or professions with a certain race or gender, leading to inaccurate predictions and offensive responses. That's why people are getting cussed out with AI. People have been, traumatized, right? Like I've read the articles about, oh, hey, ChatGPT just literally cussed me upside down, and I don't know how to handle it, right? This is why. So keep that in mind. If you get cussed out by a bot, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about being cussed out with a bot. No worries. And then this is one, this blows my mind, y'all, hallucinations. I'm going to read this verbatim, too, because I want y'all to know this one. A well-known phenomenon in large language models, remember the LLM, in which system provides an answer that is factually inaccurate, irrelevant, or nonsensical because of limitations in its training, data, and architecture. Here is a photo that my staff, I have a great team, y'all, they're fantastic, and I had asked one of my interns, hey, I want you to go do some research for this, right? He loves math, y'all. He's a nerd, right? I love nerds. Can't tell you anything but that, right? But look what he finds. Now, most people are not going to go ask the question, this model, right? This is a very, math problem I would not know the answer to. Okay? But as you can see, right up here, 99 is wrong. Okay? But then the little bot guy, he's like, ooh, let me do my work. Oh, I have a laser pointer. I'm failing at that. And then guess what? There's the answer. So what does that tell us? Do we trust everything from our bots? Should we validate? Should we verify? Should we know our limitations? Now, I would never have known that was the wrong answer. I'm not a math person, y'all. I love financial statements, right? Basics, but you hit me in algebra, I'm going to cry. You know what I mean? We're going to have a little bit of a tantrum, right? This is amazing. This shows you, okay, let's make sure to verify and validate. Okay? Is that not amazing? And this is in ChatGPT. So ChatGPT, just so you know, with all of the different, folks that are saying, hey, these are great, these are bad, ChatGPT is awesome, but it will just show whatever. It'll show you whatever you want to see. Bard is Google's version, and Bard will say, I do not know that answer. There's a difference, okay? There's also Microsoft Bing that incorporates ChatGPT. So keep this in mind, all right? It's a great kind of exercise. I thought it was fantastic. So here are the disclaimers. You've got Bard, you've got Bing, and you've got ChatGPT, all telling you, hey, this information may or may not be accurate. Now, how many people have disclaimers? Most businesses, right? Because we have to, CYA, cover your agency is what we said in the insurance business, right? So this is what I want us to think about is this is a powerful tool, but know our limitations. So chatbots, everybody, I think we know chatbots, right? They're fantastic for small businesses, though, because you get on there, hey, what are your hours? We've got automated workflow, right? Yes, ma'am. Oh, I thought you were. So we got automated workflow. So with chatbots, they, when you get on a website and you're like, hey, what are your hours? That's not usually a human. That's a bot that's been programmed to say that, to save the business time. Because how many hours do we spend answering very basic common questions, especially brick and mortar stores? Directions. How do you get there, right? How do you get there? Well, we put a widget on the website. We make sure Google's connected. We do these things to make sure. We also add automated questions in our bots. Facebook, you can add this. You can add where if they ask this, this is a response. You don't even have to think about it, even in Facebook. So a lot of our social tools have these kind of helpful things that many of us may not even know. But chatbots, I think we're pretty familiar with. And this is something that I know we're familiar with, GPS, right? I cannot make it anywhere, y'all. I have been to this library, I don't know how many times, but y'all know I use GPS today. And then when it didn't take me to the parking garage, I flipped. So you know what I mean? So it's not my thing, as we've talked about. But Siri, Alexa, and Google, right? Those were AI. They were a different kind. Command and control, right? So they're command and control systems, which they can understand a finite, list of questions. That's why, remember when Siri first started and you'd ask her and she'd be like, I don't know, good luck, Chuck, Now she's got answers. She's getting better, right? So I think this is one thing that people don't even know. You've been dealing with AI since you've had your iPhone. And then this is from Microsoft, and I thought this is a great illustration. I'm just going to lay it out here for y'all. Talks about flowers. So if a customer wants red flowers, you're going to show them roses and tulips and daisies. But what if a holiday's coming up? Poinsettias, right? So then it talks about a more complex process with if so and if not calculations. So your GPS, you know how it tells you fastest route? There's a quicker route. Like, how does it even know that? I've just been driving. This is why. So it's collecting data. Oh, there we go. Good reflexes. Got them 20-year-old reflexes, right? Just kidding. So it's collecting data, and it's doing, cameras on the streets, right? Other sources, in ways people will put traffic or there's a cop or whatever. All that information is being shared and collected. So this is fantastic. Many people had no idea, but I love how Microsoft puts it because it's just simple and it just makes sense to me. So Moore's Law. Now we're almost getting out of here and getting into the funner stuff here, but this is one that I want us to touch on because this was in the late 50s. This man, Gordon, he actually said that the size of the little things that go on the computer, okay, they were much bigger than they are today. Now they're like this big, right? And what this guy said is that the capability, the speed of our computers will increase every 2 years just because of the transistors, right? And he's saying, hey, this is what's going to happen. We're going to double. We're going to have this storage size. And it was predicted that this test would be exceeded in 2020s. Guess what? It was. We have made the smallest transistor that we can make. This is in the last 60-ish years. So I tell y'all this for y'all to think of, okay, look how things are changing. This took a while, right? This is in the late 50s, early 60s, right? This is a long time. But then here recently, we're just transitioning and evolving so quickly. It's amazing. Then remember the Turing test that we talked about earlier. That was said that it would be exceeded in 2029. We've already hit it. Google hit it. And so we'll get to some stats later, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then open source. I hit on this earlier. That just means sharing. That's all that means. Open source AI means they are sharing programs, information, all this great stuff. That's all that means, y'all. Any questions? I know that was in the nitty-gritty. That one was not our fun section, but we have to understand the basics to understand how to use this stuff. And I felt like let's get our core, kind of our core areas, right? Key concepts, and then we'll kind of know what we're going from here. And so, guess what? A little interactivity. So, do we have any wonderful volunteers to answer, what is that? Anybody know? I don't have any fabulous prizes, but you get a really great way to go. Anybody? Data scientist.
Is that what you said was AI?
Yes, sir. Yes. Ding, 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 ding. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Whoa! He is on it, right? Okay, what's the next one? Thank Google.
Oh, I don't think it's up there yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, hell. I didn't know. Very helpful. Yeah, we're not mind readers. Sorry about that. Okay, what about this? I already gave y'all a hint. Yes! Woo! That's what I'm talking about. Yes, ma'am. All right, I'm going to click the clicker, though. We'll make sure we do that. What about this? Nice. Yes, y'all have been paying some attentions. And then what about that? Yes, ma'am. Hallucination. Very good. Y'all are on it. Great job. Y'all are paying attention. I know it's not easy material, so y'all, this is my favorite part. These are the sources are cited, and you can link to the full article in this presentation, of course. But this is done by NPR, and this was a study where they implemented chatbots to take away some of the things that were causing their customer service reps time. Well, after they removed those, put those more on the chatbot, programmed it with FAQs and simple answers to questions that they got a lot, and they were 14% more productive. Just by removing those mundane tasks, right, that were slowing them down. This right here is from Google, and this is saying that its large language model is 50% better at understanding human language. Now, there was I think it was 2 years ago, where Google's big head programmer quit because he said that Google was sending, and I may not be saying that correctly, what he was saying is it's like a human brain. It can think like a human. And it scared him, and he quit. So that does happen, right? It does, but it's not to scare y'all. This is not scary. Embrace, 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 embrace. This one's cool. ChatGPT could be a doctor.
Oh my gosh.
Is that not amazing? Like, y'all, where was this when I was a kid, man? Oh my gosh, I would have been like all over that, right? I would have known everything, even though some of it was fake. Yes, ma'am.
So does this mean technically doctors could be using this?
They could, yes. And we're going to touch on some things where the AI is being used in healthcare. Yes, it is. Now, for diagnosis, from what I've read, no. They are not using it for diagnosis, but they are using it to assist. And we'll talk about that. It's a great question.
But it's showing that they're diagnosing very well.
Yes. Yeah, very well. It's kind of crazy, huh?
I feel like I trust AI over human.
Why do you say that? Well, that's a great, okay, so why do you feel that way?
Because I've seen human error and
medical
significant.
bias.
I
Yeah.
worked in a hospital for like 6 years, and and medical bias, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I guess the program could have as well. But.
It would, yes. But that's so you kind of trust it, right? And I think with what is medicine? If you look at the word, the actual meaning, it's the study of medicine. The root words, that's what it means, right? So, great point. Now, some folks would actually prefer that, where just a bot tells you what's wrong with you. This right here, now Bill Gates, Microsoft had came out in time and said, ChatGPT is the biggest thing since the graphical interface. That's computer stuff. That's what he said. But you got also the nuances, what I add here. He also invested $10 billion in OpenAI. Okay? Now, and then guess what? ChatGPT is integrated into Bing. The big money is being thrown at this. Now, this is what I mentioned earlier. VentureBeat. Much of the text mine to build GPT-3 was initially released in 2020, and it comes from forums that do not include the voices of women, older people, and marginalized groups, leading to inevitable bias that affect the decisions of the systems built on top of them. That is what I talked about earlier. This is real. Okay, just have it in your head, not to be scary, but to be aware. And then this, where we're talking about our doctors, right? AI-powered solutions have reduced false negatives and false positives in breast cancer screenings and mammograms by up to 9%. Just a little machine, right? Isn't that crazy? So, and this is from LinkedIn talking about Google Workspace, which, work email, think that way. And AI features have used 180 billion times, a lot. This, I don't know if y'all knew that there was actually, they've had acts on AI to actually go in and figure out, to go in and develop framework. This is new, right? We do need a way to kind of have oversight, because this could be used for nefarious purposes in the wrong hands, right? That's where they're getting worried, is in the wrong hands, this can really be used for bad, right? So a lawyer used ChatGPT, submitted fake cases to the judge. ChatGPT made them up. The judge gets the case or the brief and starts Googling and finds out these are fake cases. That attorney has a sanctioning hearing with that judge. He said he didn't know that it wasn't valid. That is not an excuse. Not real. You got to know before you submit it, okay? Especially to a judge. Just saying. Just putting that out there. And then this right here is current generative AI. That's the stuff where it generates from text or images we talked about earlier to automate work activities 60 to 70% of their time. That's a lot of admin if you think about it, right? There's a lot of things that we touch, do, emails, all these things that take our time. Pretty neat. And then this is a funny story. Let's talk about Bloomberg, and generative AI is going to be about 90% of the content on the web. We have a lot of clients, and we do some AI images for some of our clients because we want to see how it would look. And we actually had someone say, he called it computer generated, right? Same thing. Why is the image computer generated? Because we want to see how it would look, because it's a cabin, right? It's on like a mountain. And we want to see how it would look on the mountain as a complement to any space. You are going to see this everywhere. We use it today because we don't have a billion pictures of the product and exact placement where we want. The vision, I see things, the client doesn't take that picture. So we got to make that picture out of whatever we see from what they took, if that makes sense. And we'll touch on that shortly. So this right here is very true. Forbes. 75% are concerned about misinformation. And then this is kind of talking, I'm just going to hit all these. This is from Forbes as well. And this is talking about 64% of businesses think it's going to help them with their overall productivity. They also think it's going to help with their customer service, which absolutely. And then the World Economic Project right there talks about it's going to create 97 million new jobs. So we have a lot of talk of, oh, it's going to take jobs, it's going to take jobs, right? It could. It could take some admin. It could take some things that are more the ability to automate, right? But I had a CPA tell me, Molly, they say they're going to take my job. And I just laughed because after I had spent, literally, I'm not kidding y'all, months trying to figure something out with QuickBooks payroll, that he literally answered in 20 minutes, okay? So there's no way, right? That experience and that know-how is not going anywhere. Now, simple admin tasks, yeah, those are. But then we're going to need people to come in and help us with this technology on the other side of it, so it actually creates jobs too. And then this is something that's not very well known. Who has the AI market share? Everybody would think ChatGPT or Google or, any of those, excuse me. No, it's IBM. IBM has 9% of the global market share. So that's someone we got to watch, and you'll notice there's a lot of information from them in this PowerPoint. So this is just a little bit about the market in general. So it's going to reach about $200 billion by 2025. These have changed drastically. So if you would have went 6 months ago, these projections would have been much lower. These have changed in the past couple months. And then supply chain is one of the ones, they did some studies back in 2019 that had the most cost reduction from implementing AI technologies. Think about logistics, manufacturing. It is a lot. There are a lot of steps, right? And human error. Human error causes extra work. Sometimes when we install these different programs, right, that make our distribution and our point of sale and all these systems actually save us time and money. And this one I thought was interesting. This is just 2019, so this isn't even today. 40% of the U.S. population use voice search. I don't. I got to admit, y'all. I'm an old school Googler. I like to type, right? I like to touch. I'm more that way. But everybody I know, they don't type. They tell Siri what to do, right? They like that. So I'm just old school. I like my paper and my touch, right? So, and then this is, did you know that your email and spam is actually done by bots? Right? That's why you're like, why are the email going to spam? It's not spam. Bot thought it was and put it in spam. So that's crazy. 300 billion emails a day. Crazy. This right here, we talked about this test earlier, right? Well, guess what? Google passed that bad boy in summer of 2022, thought like a human. And then ChatGPT was the second. We are exceeding tests. We are blowing, this technology is exceeding at just an unbelievable pace. Unbelievable pace. Now we talk about the medical stuff, which was, this is the Mayo Clinic. This is directly from them. They did an international study that found incorporating AI into colonoscopies in real time reduced the risk of missing polyps by 50%. That is crazy. 50%. They didn't miss anything. So imagine as this technology, magnifies. So these are some things, just so you know. We've touched on a lot of these. These are just examples of AI. Machine learning was happening in the 50s. We had no idea, right? Deep learning was happening as early as the 80s. Social media, as we know it today, is very different. In the early 2000s, I was setting up Facebook pages. It's very different than it is today. So I have never heard of, now bulletin boards, I remember those, but I really wasn't around for that. However, I do remember live chats. I don't remember Bolt or 6 Degrees. Those were social media sites. I didn't know those were a thing, and I was a kid at that time, so I don't know those. But then it talked, MySpace was one that everybody kind of remembers, right? And then you can kind of see facial recognition actually started in the 60s. Is that not crazy? They had like pictures and they had like around their eyebrows and nose, and they were comparing with these old school computers. Is that not wild? And so now as we know it today, more like 2010, right, when we have the facial recognition on our phones. Google Maps, we talked about that earlier, 2005. I mean, Netflix and Amazon, that's AI. Telling you what to watch is AI. It's reading what you've viewed before, right? It knows what you've watched, and it's basing recommendations on what you've done. It's also probably comparing other data sources. There's probably a lot more going on, but that's a simple question, or a simple answer, I'm sorry. So Amazon, same thing. I mean, they have like big sites on this where they actually, Amazon, shoot, I did not catch that one. Amazon has actually a whole web page on how their development of their recommendations. So they're very proud of it. So does anybody know that we've been dealing with AI this long? Is this not amazing? It's crazy. And think it's gaining momentum. Guess what the next 10 years are going to be? Okay, so we reviewed some interesting stats. Does anybody want to volunteer about anything that they saw that was just wow? Anybody want to share or any feedback?
The medical developments are really interesting. Just like detecting the polyps, and I think that could be really useful in like women's health as well.
Yes,
And
I
so
agree.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that just amazing? Just imagine what it'll be like next 5-10 years, right? Well, thank you so much. I agree. I mean, this is going to make us, it's not just, small businesses, right? It can help big corporations, big healthcare organizations, a lot more than just small businesses. This can help everyone, even the consumer. So thank you. Yeah, it's a great point. So the moment of truth, right? This is what we've been waiting on. And how are we doing on time? Let's just check, because I have been just everywhere, y'all. I don't even know. Okay, good. We are perfect. Okay.
I really enjoyed seeing the timeline of it and the history, and how far back this went and how it has progressed. And I can see that we're at, one of those turning points now, and how it's becoming so useful in everyday life, not just in science.
Right. So we can use it, right? Thank you, PJ. That's great. It's changing the way we live, really, right? It really is. It has that capability. So thank you, PJ. Oh, shoot. So this right here kind of talks about, now we're going to go into specifics. This is more of just kind of a, think of more of an outline board. So it talks about the business areas: operations, sales, finance, and customer service. Now, marketing is part of sales, right? Marketing is the overarching bucket, and here's sales, right? Here's all the different marketing, different categories. So when I say sales, I'm talking about specific with salespeople, okay? It can be, that's why we kind of, with customer service, I listed it separately. Both are marketing, but I like to put them in the separate bucket so you can kind of see. So here we go, right? Content ideas, image editing. There is a list for days. Emails, newsletters. These are all things that we can use, and we'll go through some specifics. Website chatbot, right? Social media. Now, chatbots for my business are not effective. I don't have people messaging me. People call me. They don't message. We don't get a lot of social media messages, right? We get more, they see it, and then they call us. That's how they do. So with us, it's not as effective. But we have clients where they have to have the chat because they're getting messages all the time, right? And so it is a very important. So they have it on their website. We have it set up on their social, all of that stuff. Project management, that is a big one for us business owners in the room. I mean, doing every task as you grow gets overwhelming, right? Because it's not just, oh, we got payroll, but then we got processes, then we got reviews, and then we got to look at our pricing, and then we got to do our marketing, then we got to do our social posts, and it gets overwhelming, right, as small business owners. So we're going to talk about a project management tool that we use that actually helps us in our daily lives. Financial statements, profit and loss as business owners, that is something we need to be looking at. I look at it daily, weekly, monthly, whatever. All a profit and loss is showing you how much money you made. Takes your gross, which is all the money you make, minus expenses. There's a bigger calculation with equity. We're not going into all that. Basics of profit and loss. Gross revenue, expenses, boom, 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 profit. That is a report that I love. I use QuickBooks to generate that for me on a daily, right? I don't have to do anything, hit a button. These are things where we can make our life easier. Lead workflows and messaging. If we have a business where we're getting a lot of different touches and phone calls and we're getting a lot of different leads, we're not going to remember all those. There's no way, we're human. But guess what? We put it in the system, the bot's not going to forget as long as we set it up properly, right? So data analysis, same thing, just looking at data and using automation to help us look at data. And then here's another list over here. Predictive analysis is just doing some projections. Integration, text to image creation. We've kind of talked about all these. Responses. This is a big one. People say, Molly, what should I use ChatGPT for? I love it for ideas, but I also love it for that. Maybe you're not the best. I don't know how to say this, right? How do I do this intro email? How do I say this prospect email? It's a great tool to go get some ideas, right? And then go search the web and see what other people are doing too to come up with a response, right? How do I say these things? Google Ads is a whole class by itself. Hiring, oh my gosh, Indeed, y'all, has a ton of automation. LinkedIn, not as much. Virtual assistant, of course, we're very familiar with that, and scheduling and appointments. So this is where we start right here. There are tools. A lot of the business owners that we work with complain about their email. That's a big one. I get too many emails. I don't know what to do. I just don't answer them. They just get overwhelmed. So there are actually tools that you can purchase that go in and actually organize you and put priority emails here. Google will actually do that if you set up folders. So like if you're getting Bed Bath & Beyond, right, that goes to the folder. That doesn't show in your inbox. You see what is important, right? There are systems and tools that with automation that can do this for you. Out of office emails. When you're going to be out of office, set up the email. Hey, I'm not going to be here, right? Don't say I'm going here. Don't give them all the information in case they're trying to, cybersecurity, okay? Let's not give them everything. Hey, we're going to be back tomorrow. We're going to an event. Don't say that. But hey, I'm not going to be around my email today. Okay, guess what? That makes it where if there is somebody trying to get a hold of you, they know what's happening, right? Instead of judging you based on your customer service and you didn't respond to them. ClickUp. Oh my gosh, y'all, this tool right here saved me 4 hours a week. 4 hours a week, I'm not kidding. I have staff now. We've got, some folks on payroll, and we all work remotely. And with our clients, we have so many touches with each client, right? And, you know, one person's touching this, and then they're touching this, and then they're doing this, and they're proofing this. It was too much. There was no way that I could keep up with everything and us stay on point. So we use ClickUp, where it tells us when we need to, you know, if I need to call so-and-so, if so-and-so needs to have this work done, if we need to call the client, if we need to have their social ready, if I need to proof, if we need ads. Every aspect of that project is in this tool. It also has templates, hiring, customers, you name it. This thing is bad to the bone. Now, it's not, it's a system that costs, right? It does. And we're going to talk about how to evaluate that here shortly. But ClickUp is a tool that has saved me personally many hours in planning and making sure that we get everything done that we need to get done. Scheduling, automation, all built in. And then this is something that many people don't know. So you can set up automated messages on your Facebook page. It's easy. So if somebody says, what are your hours? Ding, your hours go through, right? Or where's your address? Or, you know, like say, you know, we work with a mover. Do you offer cross-country moves? You build an answer for that. Absolutely, da-da-da-da. We have answers where we don't have to think about it and we don't have to spend our time responding. Now, if they ask a question that's not, you know, a simple question, of course we're going to answer because the bot doesn't know the answer to that. So make sure you're using those. These are big to save you time. Also, if you have a Facebook group, these are fabulous, by the way. If you have a business and you have, you know, ability to get a following, these are amazing in terms of business, a Facebook group. So if you have a Facebook group and you are an admin, you can use Admin Assist. It actually sets up a welcome message and other things within. So when they come in, you're not, oh, I got to do the welcome message and I got to do this. No, it's just automated. I don't even have to touch it. Now, if somebody says something, right, then I'm responding and engaging. But if it's just a basic stuff, a welcome message, let the computer do it. Yes, ma'am.
You're saying your business Facebook group is the admin for it, or your business Facebook is starting the group?
Well, it's kind of, so yes, it's like a business, but you would open it. You can set up a business page where it's like only individuals or pages.
Okay.
So you can set it up either way. With the group that we do for this client, his is personal. So we have to run it through my personal and then as well as he has a business page. Facebook groups can be either. I mean, you could have a Facebook group and say, we want to have that telephone poll, right? Like celebrate, I'm serious, like celebrate the telephone poll and we have a group. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be a business, but when you're a business and you, especially with the products, it is a great way to showcase what you have. It's fantastic. I love these. We get so much interaction and engagement. And the thing that was weighing us down is we were having to send these welcome messages, right? All this stuff. This admin that takes time. Now it's all automated. I don't even touch it.
Explains a whole lot because you know how if a business is promoting some gadget, some gizmo for sale, and then there's comments below like I bought this and I really loved it, and all of a sudden the admin is saying, "We thank you so much. We're glad you enjoyed it." Or somebody said, "I hated this. It was awful." They say, "Oh, please call our office." And I'm thinking somebody's really staying awfully busy.
It's it could be. Now, PJ, it could be bots, but it also could be humans. Because there are, like with our clients, we have dedicated people that watch that every minute of the day. So now, programs and stuff, yes, we can build that all in. But it could be either. It really could be a human, setting there, but it also could be a bot. Now, the other thing I want you to keep in mind with Facebook is everybody thinks everybody on there is real. PJ brings a point. There's bots. Remember what we talked about? When people are saying all these crazy things and they're arguing with you, they're probably fake, okay? So don't get all upset and emotional. Let it go. It's not worth it, right? They're probably fake. They're probably bots. They're there to upset you. They really are. It's sad, but it's true. Yeah, exactly. Because guess what happens when the algorithm, when more people comment and like? Yeah, it shows to more organic users. Keep that in mind. So it's a game, right? It's playing a game. So bookkeeping software. We talked about this, the profit and loss. If you're not using a bookkeeping software, please try something. You don't have to use QuickBooks. There's a lot of others like Keep and all these different kinds. But it makes my life easy. I can hit a button and everything generates. Payroll, approved time, done. You can even automate payroll if you like. So for us, it saves me time to make sure that we're getting everything done. Now, and if you don't, you can use AI to produce some templates, man. It's fantastic. Mileage tracking as business owners. Now, if we have an office, that does not count. You don't get mileage for going to your office every day. But if you, like with me, I don't have, we work remotely from our houses, right? I go to the client. Guess what? Mileage. Excuse me. So with mileage, if I'm tracking all this, I've seen the spreadsheet, y'all. The clients have, and I'm like, you have got to get a tool for this because this is ridiculous. They literally write it down every time they get in the car. Why are you doing that? It's 2023. We got tools for that, right? Like, make our life easier. MileIQ is a great one. QuickBooks, all these systems do it for you, and then you can like set up rules. Yep, that's personal, that's business. Make our life easy. That's what we're all about, right? This is what we're trying to do with AI. So let's see here. So this is one of my favorites, y'all. We talked about this a minute ago. Okay, so this is a before picture. This is one of our clients, Lux Lab. They do restroom trailers, high end, and they also do pods, okay? This is a before. This is not the picture I asked for, by the way. This is what we get. Now, this is what Sue, my brilliant marketing manager, did. Okay, we got a dog up in there, okay? And we have flowers, right? So this right here shows you the power. Yes, can I tell that's AI generated? Yes. But if I'm just scrolling on social and it's this really small image, that's just going to catch my eye because animals really do it for people, y'all. So is that not amazing? And that's just through an AI generator. She went in and said, hey, I want flowers. And it's a process. It's just not a simple click. And then I want a dog. Look, the dog even has a shadow. Isn't that crazy? I love that so much. So this is to show you what you can do. Now, we talked about chat, web chat. If you don't have it on your website or if you don't have like a web builder you can add, you can also always get like a service like Podium. There's a bunch of them that do just web chat. And then a sales team, lead management, please. So there's a great meme that I always practice by, and it's that most salespeople stop following up after 3 times. But 80% of sales are made between the 5th and 12th attempt. What are we missing, right? We're missing those follow-ups because nobody else is following up, y'all. I mean, when we were in the insurance business with internet leads, we would have the better luck with the internet leads 3 months later because nobody was calling them, right? So think about how, like, all these people I'm talking to, am I keeping track of them? I could be marketing them later. The marketing cost, when you look at acquisition, if we buy a lead and we use it one time, it's high. But the cost of acquisition, where we're dripping to it over time and staying into contact, that cost greatly decreases. So keep those leads in your pipeline. You're likely to sell them later than you are today. Facebook, this is a big one, y'all. Dynamic ads. I see a lot of static ads on Facebook. Let me see what time we are at. And, okay, cool. Facebook ads are not dead, y'all. Do not buy that. Do not believe that for a second. They are fantastic. Use their algorithm. Use what they know about everybody to your benefit. Don't just do a static ad. A picture, and it's got one set of text, and you think that that's going to appeal to everybody. It's not, right? All these different things of like, well, we're trying to reach Sue and Tom, and this is our target market. But with one static ad, it doesn't matter. Remember the cognitive bias? We all see things differently, okay? Dynamic ad is actually an ad on Facebook that you can set it up, and it has up to 10 sets of creative. So the video, we love videos. Up to 10 videos. You can create videos on it with pictures. You can also put up to 5 text, primary text options, 5 headlines, 5 call to actions. So you have an ad serving up all these different combinations using what Facebook knows about all those users on Facebook and showing the ad based on a user preference. Do you think that's going to increase what we get from our ad? Yes, drastically. So when you're thinking about doing Facebook ads, look at dynamic. Let the AI, it knows like Molly likes this and Tom likes this or whatever. It's going to show based on that. We have ads running where when we look at Google, cost per clicks can be very high, anywhere from $0 to $50 a click. Facebook ads, we've got ads running right now that are running at 10 cents a click. 10 cents. That is crazy. We spend $200 and we've got thousands of clicks, okay? So these are powerful ways for you to harness AI. Use it, right? Use the bots for good, man. It's one of my favorites. Email templates, we kind of touched on this with responses. Use this tool for email templates. Like, what do I say to my prospect? And what I've noticed with business owners is they're not always, most of the time, they're not the best salesperson, right? They're scared, like rejection, like they said no. So? That just means no right now. That doesn't mean no forever. Now, if they told you don't call me, that's different, but that's not usually the case. It's, oh, they were busy. Okay? Keep calling them. That's what we do. That's how we, generate long-term revenue, keep our sales pipeline. So this right here, use it for some email templates. Right? There's no right answer on an email template, right? It's not like valid information. You're just saying and trying to make people feel good. So Zap, this is a big one. Many people do not know this exists. It's called Zapier. I may not be saying that correctly. Okay, I call it Zap. And what this is we use it for clients to make their life easier. So if they don't have a web, like a web designer built site, which a lot don't because those are expensive, then what we do is we use Zap to integrate some functions. So let's say that on your website you have those contact forms. Let's say you get a lot. And let's say you can't manage it and you forget to call Susie, right? Well, guess what? We can set up a Zap where your contact forms go to a Google Sheet and they're all organized in one place. We can also add your Facebook leads there. And we can connect Dropbox to your email. Crazy. We didn't know about these things. This is such a cool tool, y'all. So cool. So it's for us that don't have, like we work with another client who has a fully developed web designer. They have this built in, okay? But most of us can't afford to do that, right? Those sites are 10, 20 grand, all right? So that's not something most business owners can handle, right? This is. They work with APIs. All API means is two things are talking. There's, hey, when you get this, you do this. That's all it is. Share talk. And then this is one of my favorites, y'all, Constant Contact. Birthdays, emails. Who gets a birthday card anymore or an email? Nobody. We do birthday emails. We're going to start doing anniversary, right? Where we have a Constant Contact is what we use. It does automated stuff. I just enter it, set up the template, tell it to go. And then I get emails, thank you so much. Oh, it was his birthday. And it reminds me, right? So it's great. It's a fabulous reminder, not only for me, and it makes them feel great. Like, hey, how did you know it was my birthday? Because you told me and I wrote it down, right? Very fantastic way to increase overall retention right there. Two big things. It costs 60% more to acquire a new customer than it does to retain an existing one. Keep that in mind. So, okay, Indeed recruiting. This is a big one. I know we're running out of time, so I'm going to speed it up. Indeed, fabulous tool for hiring. Fabulous. Some you can post for free, some jobs. Some you can't, okay? It works with a daily budget or a paper app. That's how you're charged. Depends on your job. I can't dictate that, they do. What is cool about this, though, is you can set up auto-generated emails. So if this happens, so as soon as the app comes in, I use a template and I send it out to that person. Well, guess what? You can also use it for auto-rejection. One thing I want to caution. Auto-rejection, if you look at some of the stats across these big corporations, actually rules out 50% of qualified candidates. So I want you, if you use the rejection automation, to go in your rejection file and just double check, because in my experience, when we've had automated rejection, people were in there that we would have talked to. So keep that in mind. AI can, it can speed us up, but we also got to know our limitations, right? So, great tool though. Content writing. Oh, this is a big one. We do not use AI to write our content. All of the stuff on our website, this presentation, this is all us doing it. I am a fan of original content, so is Google, okay? Google reaches 92% of internet users through its, don't just think search, right? But think about all the ads you see everywhere online, right? There's a lot more to Google than just search. they're reaching everybody. And what we like to do is use original content. So unless we're hitting a wall, we're writing. Doesn't mean you can't use it, right? But just add your own, edit it, make it yours. Because the one thing you don't is to have the same content that everybody else has, because that does not help you in Google. Original content. So, and then also in like Wix and other web builders, they have AI tools now that you can click a button, and it will generate paragraphs. Mind-blowing. This is a big one. You can schedule on Meta Business. If you do not have the Meta Business Facebook app on your phone, please download it. You can schedule Facebook and Instagram posts. It will tell you what the best time is. It'll tell you. Like, hey, post it at 6 at this time, on Tuesday. Schedule them. Just schedule it. Get it out of your hair. Now, there are tools for, these other sites that we use that do cost money. But, if you're just having to post to Google My Business, which is your Google profile on the internet, which y'all all should be posting to, and you can schedule these, it will save time. Okay? Big time saver. And then combinations, social algorithms, we've talked about this, right? There are combinations that you can do to see more organic users. Have you ever posted something and you're like, nobody saw it? Well, you got to hit that algorithm. If you're just doing a post, you're not hitting the algorithm. You have Reels now. Instagram changed how they see things. Reels are where it's at. LinkedIn just made some changes where they only show relevant content, right? That where you're talking as an authority. All these things are changes. So just because you get used to something, it changes. That's how this works. But combinations. So don't just do posts, do Reels, do stories. Groups. Fantastic for small businesses. If you're not posting in groups and sharing in groups, you're missing the boat because those are phenomenal. It just takes time, right? It just takes your time. You just share. It's not like, you have to spend money on that unless you're paying somebody to do it, of course. But that's how you get more organic users. It's all about bots. Keep that in mind when you're posting online. When you're doing things online, this is about robots on the web. That's how all this stuff comes together. You got to game the bot. That's what we, try to do with our clients. So if you have a brick and mortar, add a widget to your website. We've kind of touched on that already. And these are just a couple that, I'm just going to throw these up here. I found Tome. I didn't even know it was a thing. But if you're doing client presentations, I thought it was phenomenal, y'all. It actually can generate them for you. I was blown away. Text communication, one big missing. Remember that acquisition versus retention? Once we sell to them, we need to communicate to them. Textedly, constant contact, all do SMS text messages where it looks like it's going to one person and it's not. Also automated. And then social dashboards, you can see what your best performing content is. It will show you this is best performing. Well, what do you need to write more of? That content, right? You can do A/B testing. There's all kinds of other things, of course, we don't have time to get into today. But at least go in and look and see what's doing well, right? And then review your website, y'all. See what's doing well. See what words are popping. Very important. And then, I don't know if y'all know this, but set up Google Alerts for your name and your business. Many people do not have these. This will notify you when that content hits Google. Makes sense? Pretty cool, huh? And then make sure your business is listed in voice search. Remember that stat we talked about earlier. You can do this on your own. Now, there are these services, y'all, that will charge you like $4 million. You can go to Apple. You can go to Alexa and do it on your own. Or you can buy a service, which they're overpriced in my experience. Doesn't mean they all are. Or you can buy something like Moz, which is just an online service, been around. I mean, I have a t-shirt called, it says, I'm a social tool. I literally got that, y'all, in the 2000s. I still have it because it cracks me up. And it was partly to do with when we were first, that's when I first entered this world, right? And Moz was one of the tools they use, and it's still around today. This is fantastic. It puts you in local directories. These are y'all, we could do like whole little sessions on these. So I know that was a ton of information. Do we have any questions? Any thoughts? I hope this was great. Yes, ma'am.
So ChatGPT doesn't do real-time data. Why does that?
It only goes back with which version, it depends, goes back to 2020 and 2021. So if you're looking, like say you're a nurse and you're looking for, hey, this trend, it may not have that data because it's only going back so far. Now, it scanned everything on the web.
Because it was trained on a certain database. It doesn't actively go to the web and search.
Well, it does. It does. So, I mean, think of it this way. Think of the limitations as if I post something online today, it's not going to be indexed by Google for a little while. So unless I go, because I go to Google Analytics and I add that link, so it's indexed. If you went on and added a blog today, it's not indexed today, not unless you tell Google to index it. So that information has not been found on the web, if that makes sense, even though it's there. Does that kind of help?
And how do you tell Google to index something? Like that's also like SEO type?
Yes, that's a whole nother session. Great question, though. But yes, you would do it in Analytics Search Console. Again, a lot of information. Yes, ma'am. Great question, though.
Question / comment for maybe both of y'all. When you talk about like the mini sessions, like that could be this whole session.
Yeah.
Can it be?
Thank
I
you.
already wrote like additional comments, like I would love more specific
Aw,
on
thank
like
you.
the specific softwares you use, the specific like, I don't know, suggestions that towards the end.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yes.
I wrote down every program she listed.
I know, Kelsey's on it. She's got me. She's like,
Hopefully we'll be able to do something.
yeah, absolutely. I love these. So, but yeah, great question, though. So I think that is probably, and then thank y'all so much. I know this was so much data, y'all. I know it was a little overwhelming, but y'all got through it. Now, we have some tactics to execute, right? Tactics to execute. And I feel like we're missing, here we go. I missed my slide. So, just summarize, AI is evolving. No AI's limitation, accuracy, bias, hallucinations, right? Also down here, this is a big one. As a business owner, you have to develop a cost-benefit analysis of all your technology and tools, right? Okay, this is a question I've gotten before. Molly, it costs $99 a month. Okay, what does it do? We talk about it. Well, it saves you 4 hours a month. Well, how much is your time worth an hour? And if we don't know that as business owners, we need to. We need to figure it out. Is that worth it? Think of opportunity costs. This is one of my favorite sayings. It's like, what could you be doing instead of that? Most of the time, these things are not things that we love. It's not like we're excited. I do not excited about doing payroll, y'all. I hate it. I hate it. Even though it's easy, I hate it. So with these things, opportunity costs, instead of doing admin tasks or like with us with ClickUp, instead of using a tool like that, yeah, I could have saved 100 and whatever a month, but it literally saved me 16 hours a month. That is worth big money to me, right? So think about it. When you're assessing, is this tool right for me? Do your research. Don't just take ChatGPT for answer for everything. Do your research. Find what programs other business owners are using and do a cost-benefit analysis, okay? This is what we got. This is very important. Opportunity cost. Okay, now that's really the end. Thank y'all so much. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah.
I learned a lot.
I love it.
I need an intro to computer science.
I know, right? I know. I love it. Yeah, and y'all, there's some, like, if y'all want my card or brochure or anything, it's back there on the thing.
If you want a copy of the presentation,
Yes.
there's a